G'day folks. Today I'm going to explore whether there's any projects being built on top of TitanX that at least I consider to be worthwhile. So of course none of this is financial advice. It's really just taking a look at some projects and really just getting an initial feel. And if any of these projects that I talk about today interest you, we'll do some further research and investigate for yourself whether it's suitable for your circumstance. But today I wanted to start off with this useful resource created by Mike Dean. If you don't follow him on Twitter, make sure you do. And it's TitanX Hub. And on here you can find all the projects that are being built on top of TitanX. So you've got the prices if they've launched. So of course we've got DragonX, which is launched. You've got access to their white paper, various project links, and you can really see everything on this website that at least is known to date. So we've got the list here if you want to have a look. You can go through it in more detail in your own time, but I wanted to go through the projects that at least I consider to be certainly worthwhile, and that doesn't mean that projects that I'm not going through today aren't worthwhile, but I might just not have a full understanding of them, or I might not personally value the use case, but that doesn't mean that you might not at home. So I'd suggest actually if you have an interest in TitanX and believe in it as a long-term investment, well, go through all these projects yourself and make your own decisions. But I wanted to start off with firstly DragonX, of course, because it's the one that's already out. And DragonX, I'll start off by saying isn't for everyone, but there are use cases that it can be considered useful. So we've got here already, so you've got at the time of at least speaking, there's only a bit over 3 days left if you want a 1-to-1 TitanX to DragonX ratio. After this timer depletes, well then you're going to have a reduced ratio and that ratio will continue to decline. After a certain period, there'll be no more DragonX that will be able to be created. So quickly, we've got the white paper. I'm not going to waste time going through all of it. I'm just going to go straight to the key parts. So there's basically 84 days that you can actually create DragonX, after which time there's none more that can be created. And we've got the first 2 weeks. So we're in week 2 now of DragonX. And after that, as we can see, the ratio decreases. So it's going to be harder and harder to create DragonX, and then you'll have a period of time where there's no more that can be created. And we've got here the key things that you should be aware of. So you've got the percentages here that you can look at, and it's up to you to determine whether you think it's fair that the developers receive 8%. Personally, for me, I think it's fair, but we can all have our own opinions. But here, this is the essence of it. And you can look at this to really understand it. But basically, how I see DragonX, so if you're looking for yield, you're not getting any yield whatsoever with DragonX. That's not the purpose of the project. The purpose with DragonX is because of all the buy and burns. Essentially, you've got a decreasing supply of DragonX, and so you'll have firstly a supply cap after the 84 days. There'll be no more that can be created, and then you'll have buy and burns of both DragonX and TitanX. So to give you a quick and dirty summary, DragonX does support TitanX because ultimately you're burning TitanX supply. Staking rewards will, as a result, be impacted slightly because there is staking mechanisms within DragonX to really sort of, I guess, fuel the fire to keep all this buy and burning activity happening, but ultimately it should be of net benefit to TitanX, and it does give some possible future incentive for people to create more miners, but that won't be directly through this protocol, so be mindful of that. But basically what I'm expecting is that for those that are looking for a capital growth type of play, and for those that are looking to sell the top whenever they believe that to be, well, if you've got belief that TitanX will appreciate over time, well, DragonX is likely to out-appreciate TitanX. So that would be the reason that someone may choose to get involved in DragonX. And you've got here as well the supply. So, of course, you've got here the TitanX supply being burnt, and then you've got the DragonX supply being burnt. So if you've got a finite currency and you've got a lot of burning within that, well, there is the chance that the price goes up in the future. So essentially, if you're buying into DragonX, that's what you're buying into. So But for those that are looking for a yielding opportunity, Helios is one that's caught my eye. So instead of the 8% going to developers, you've got the 2% going to developers. So essentially, a greater proportion of your money is going to use. But the advantage with DragonX is because we got in time for the recent 28 and 90-day payouts, well, already DragonX has already been quite active and really used those payouts quite effectively. So I guess they're the things to consider here. But with a Helios, well, essentially, you've got the opportunity, and take your time going through this, watch your own interviews, but in going through it really quickly, essentially you've got the opportunity via Helios to be earning both TitanX and Ethereum. So that is essentially the opportunity that you have within Helios. And to give you a bit more on Helios, to give them a fair shake, I wasn't initially going to go through any of this, but to give you the very quick and dirty. So you've got the opportunities within Helios to mine. So you can almost think of it as a bit like a TitanX being built on top of TitanX, but with a few tweaks. So you've got mining opportunities. You can go through these numbers in your own time. You've got, of course, the staking opportunities. This is where you've got the opportunity to earn your TitanX and ETH. And there's also burning opportunities as well, which you can go through. But the benefit of burning TitanX is for those that are looking to set up future TitanX miners, well, this is going to give you more mining power. So that's an additional edge within Helios that really gives you further utility and potential for opportunities. So there's some things, again, just in very short, for a very quick and dirty take, that's sort of some of the opportunities you've got within Helios. So yeah, certainly one worth investigating. But my favorite project being built on top of TitanX at this stage is TitanX Market, because it gives you so many opportunities. So you've got the protocol enables sale of miners, sale of stakes. You've got the opportunity to receive loans against miners as collateral or stakes as collateral. You can purchase miners, you can purchase stakes. So, and you can see here as well, this lays it out very clearly. So again, you can sell miners, stake miners, loan against a miner, loan against a stake. So fantastic options within TitanX. And really within the TitanX ecosystem, I look at TitanX Market as the equivalent of a Hedron within Hex. So it gives you that sort of extra utility and opportunity. So a really well-designed project as far as I'm concerned, at least on paper. So we'll have to see if their execution is as good as their idea. But the one thing that you won't be able to do within TitanX Market is, because within TitanX you can just burn it for other things. So you won't have that same option within TitanX Market. So that's something to be aware of, because if we go back into TitanX Hub, well, we've got Shogun, which will be your opportunity in the future to potentially burn your existing TitanX stakes. Well, your existing TitanX stakes, you can't sort of do that within TitanX markets if they already exist. So it's purely whatever you either mine or stake through TitanX market, that's what you're playing with, the way I understand it at least. So, but here are the key numbers. So this is where the fees go within TitanX market. And because you're, I guess, gaining this extra utility, there are costs to doing business. So that's the thing to be aware of. But for those that are seeking that additional flexibility, well, that's really the reason people would want to get involved with TitanX market and utilize some of these opportunities. So we've got the distribution of where the funds go. Again, you've got the 8% to developers, which is the standard setup. But yeah, just the opportunities within TitanX market really appeals to me. And the thing that excites me most is actually the KingX token. So for those of you that have stayed on till this point, well, this is where it gets really exciting. And truth be told, this is where I'm, at least at this point, leaning towards putting my funds, at least over sort of the coming weeks. So you've got the KingX token. So you've got here the primary utility of the KingX token is associated with generating income through participation in the TitanX market protocol. Holders of TitanX tokens who decide to stake them in the protocol will participate in a significant portion of the profits derived from transaction fees within the protocol. So those could be purchases, sales, lending, and borrowing. The allocation of rewards from the fees in ETH is 36.8%. So, but we're yet to get to the really interesting part here. So you've got TitanX tokens that are staked on the TitanX market protocol are there indefinitely and can be unstaked at any time. Only tokens that are staked count towards the pool that receives ETH payouts proportionally to the share of the pool. And if you've got in the first hour of the first day, you get the most amount of KingX tokens, and that decreases. And after 17 days, well, that will be the end of KingX in terms of actually being able to create KingX tokens. So we will have a maximum supply, and essentially you've got another yielding product that has buy and burn mechanisms to decrease the supply of KingX. So that's terrific. So for me, that's money as far as I'm concerned, and that's what's got me sort of excited about getting into KingX as a potential golden opportunity, because for me personally, I'm a cash flow investor. So something like DragonX, unless we had the staking numbers, unless it was saying this estimated ROI is something like, say, 200%, well, that'd give me great optimism that the growth in DragonX will be through the roof. But at little over 50%, well, I'm not necessarily seeing incredible value. With a KingX, well, with that scarcity, with that cash flow, the same sort of reasons I got into TitanX are the same sort of reasons I'm looking at KingX. And look, Helios is another good one too, where again, getting that ETH and also getting that TitanX supply, really appealing, and you're not giving as much away to the devs. But with that said, KingX token for me is looking like that winner, just because we've got all this utility factor where you're going to have people that'll want to sell miners, that'll want to sell stakes, that'll want to take out loans. Having all those options is incredible from my perspective. So you've got here, it's a 1-to-1 TitanX to KingX ratio to start with, and then it decreases. So a bit like your DragonX, well, you've got that decreasing supply over time, and then that cap on how long that the supply can be created until there's no more that can be created. So you've got those same sort of mechanisms there. And you've got here, and this is a really cool part here, 97%, and these are the numbers at this stage, for all we know it might change. I actually think I heard something about 99%, so it's possible the numbers have changed. But we've got here 97% is directed to the buy and burn smart contract, which will be buying TitanX tokens from the market and burning them, reducing the available supply of KingX token. So if you've got 97% buy and burn on something that is cash flowing and has a supply where no more supply will be created after a point in time, well, that's very exciting to say the least. You're going to get, at least this is how I'm seeing it in my head, no financial advice here, but it's got me excited because having that much buy and burn, well, KingX should appreciate dramatically faster than TitanX, and you'll be getting the ETH rewards at the same time. So maybe not as generous ETH rewards, but maybe over time it works out to be better ETH rewards with this aggressive buy and burn. And then of course you've got another 3% going to the Genesis address. So be aware of that. So yeah, they're basically saying that it's an innovative mechanism already known from TitanX, which will be used to burn KingX tokens. So yeah, incredibly cool stuff here. And we've got the key numbers down here. So again, 8% to devs. You've got the 36.8% going to KingX token stakers. You've got 46% goes to buy and burn and purchases TitanX tokens from the market. So again, you've got that buy pressure on TitanX. That's not just helping out KingX, but it helps out TitanX as well. And then you've got the 9.2% of the fees to go to KingX token buy and burn protocols. So yeah, having all this buy and burn, having all the cash flow, yeah, for me, TitanX market and specifically the KingX token has me excited. So yeah, let me know at home from TitanX Hub. Look, which projects have you excited at home? For me personally, I've found my favorite, which is KingX. And that's not to say I won't necessarily use some of the TitanX market opportunities. There's potential within a few of those that may appeal to me. That's yet to be seen. Potentially more so on the buying side. So maybe I'd consider buying a miner or buying a stake if there's some distressed sellers really trying to get out of TitanX. They might be opportunities I might pursue through this protocol as well. Because for me, I'm ultimately a hodler. I've mined a lot, or at least I've got full length miners that I'm hoping to convert to stakes in the future. So for me, I'm really looking at, well, how can I maximize my ETH yield and really build that? So TitanX is one, and I'm looking at KingX potentially to be another within this TitanX ecosystem. And I haven't ruled out Helios as well. For me, that's another potential, but certainly with KingX, certainly when that launches, I think it might be mid-Feb, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, here we go. We've got 15th of Feb, so that's a potentially quite exciting day coming up. So I look forward to that thoroughly, it's fair to say. And looking to potentially cash in, and yeah, let's see how it goes. But yeah, I look forward to hearing. Hopefully there's a few KingX interviews. I'll continue doing my due diligence. It's not a 100% decision on my end that I'll get into KingX and TitanX market, but certainly at this early stage, I'm very much leaning towards it. I don't have much capital available, unfortunately, because I've aped into creating too many TitanX miners, so I won't have too much to put into it. But yeah, I'm hoping to be certainly a day one KingX investor if I can. Again, with DragonX, look, if the staking numbers were saying that this was a much higher return, I'd be more interested. Even though it doesn't produce the yield, it would at least be that sort of leverage play where it'll grow higher than TitanX. And with Helios, look, very encouraging with the burn mechanics where, look, if you can burn TitanX supply and then it increases the capability of future TitanX miners, that's certainly, for me personally as a miner, something that's very exciting. As well as getting both that ETH yield and TitanX. That's very juicy, and with very little going to the developers as well. So credit to the Helios devs for that. But yeah, certainly TitanX market has me interested. But yeah, let me know at home, are there any projects that I should be more excited about than I am? With Hyper, of course, which is Jake's project, well, we're going to have to wait for a white paper, see what's going on there. Of course, with Hyper, it's understood that it will be using liquid TitanX, and then we'll have to see what Hyper does with that. And then his other project, of course, is Shogun, which is using staked TitanX. With a lot of these other projects, I have to concede I don't have full comprehensive knowledge on these to be super excited. I feel like I probably would need either to do a bit more research or, I guess, have a bit more information become publicly known for me to feel comfortable really talking about any of these other opportunities. But certainly with whether it's DragonX, whether it's Helios, whether it's TitanX market or KingX token, they're ones that I would certainly say, look, if anything I've said today has been of interest, well, do your own research to determine whether it's a good investment for you. Look at the white papers, look at some interviews, follow them on Twitter and see what they're about. Yeah, maybe get behind them on Telegram, again, engage in the chats, find out a bit more, see what some of the excitement, thought discussions are about. They're some of the things that you can do if you want to be proactive at home. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future updates. And I should mention in my next video, I'm going to be covering Pulse Chain and really looking at, well, are there any actual useful projects being built onto Pulse Chain? So is Pulse Chain just simply, you've got Pulse, you've got PulseX, you've got Hex, you've got the various Maximus coins, and you've got sort of Hedron and Icosa, but is there anything else that's of actual, I guess, that's investable, I suppose, if you want to term it that way? Are there any actual investable opportunities that are good? That's really what I want to explore next. Because ultimately, I'm not a TitanX maxi, as you probably saw if you saw my November, I think it was either November or December power rankings video, where I really covered what are my top cryptocurrencies. TitanX was 5th. And of course, I had Pulse Chain, Pulse X, and Hex in my top 3 positions. So I am at heart a Hexican and someone who likes Richard Hart products. But at the same time, I'm also about real DeFi. So I'm really looking for ultimately good DeFi opportunities. KingX, I believe, might be one of those. And we'll have to see with some of these other projects being built on top of TitanX whether they're good. I'm still a TitanX believer. I still believe there's great opportunities. Hopefully the mining activity builds up. That'll be really the key to TitanX having future success. So hopefully the mining activity can build up, because then that ultimately feeds into, will the staking rewards go up, and then really TitanX will be humming. That'll be the key for its long-term sustainability. But I'm hopeful that a number of the protocols built on top of TitanX will encourage more mining. And yeah, hopefully we see some sort of uptick. I don't know what will be the catalyst, but yeah, hopefully there will be a catalyst that creates more TitanX mining, because if the miners are humming, well, then the staking rewards will go with it. So yeah, that'll certainly be something to hopefully look forward to. But yeah, anyway, folks, see you in the next video.